What is going on, boys and girls of YouTube? It is the day after an interesting day, to say the least. So, I think 2 days ago, it's been a long couple days. I think 2 days ago, I made the video talking about these rumors that were going around that all stemmed from the pro players catching wind of esports dying and a bunch of other layoffs happening. And then at that point in time, it was rumors. Kind of knew it wasn't, but everyone didn't know it was coming. A lot, like the fact that the players found out before most employees had any idea is messed up, in my opinion. But besides the point, we are now 2 days past that video. Yesterday went crazy. I think around like 10 a.m. Eastern, everyone started posting on social media about the layoffs. You had a lot of really big, well-known developers that lost their jobs. There's a list on Reddit of some of the layoffs. You've got a bunch of casters because esports is gone. Wormy, who I believe is one of the last people they added in as a god designer. And I think before that, I think it was like Aggro and Lermy were the last two to join. So I believe that's probably why we saw them be the ones to exit. I mean, they lost a couple of programmers, but I think Skilly was mainly working on other games. It had just been brought over to Smite 2, QA, gameplay programmers. So they did lose some programmers. I was wondering about that. They lost a lot of people from UI, UX. A lot of people lost their jobs yesterday. To be exact, there's a website where or a company, whatever, they have to basically say when there's a mass layoff. They got rid of 69 employees. They had 144. They got rid of 69. So they have, around 75 people still working there, which is crazy because at one point they had over 500 employees, because when I recorded my announcer pack and I went through the studio, I hadn't been there for a while, they were telling me how there was 500 people in the office at that time. That was before COVID, if I'm not mistaken. I'm like pretty positive it was. Maybe it was after COVID. I could have sworn it was before. I don't know. I'd have to look at the timeline. Pretty sure it was, which is crazy. So this all happened. Now you get into a lot of the questions. I mean, you feel bad for a lot of people. Clearly, they're bleeding money. You can see at one point it was estimated they were around 106 million in revenue, which is pretty realistic, because if they had 400 or 500 employees, they were easily spending well over 20 million on just salaries. And then you talk about all the games they created and that failed, and just what Smite was doing. So those people who are like, Smite's a small game, blah, blah, bro, they were revenuing a crazy amount of money and just failed to turn it into more money, which is really sad if you think about it. Like, they tried to produce so many more games. We're talking 10. I mean, Hi-Rez Studio games. We're looking at. This isn't even all their games, because this is missing mobile games. This is missing, like, a second Tribes was just made not too long ago. There's a lot that money attempted to make more money with, and it did not. It's really, it's pretty sad, to be honest. If you've been on the Reddit, there's, I guess today it's, here's the mega thread at the top, but there was just a ton of posts about it. There's calling for the CEO to resign. They closed they officially ended, other than, like, the game's going to stay open from my knowledge for Smite 1 and Paladins. So servers will remain available for the foreseeable future, but no updates. So there's going to be no more patching for Smite 1, where I think they had like 5-10 people on it, like doing number patching. Like, they weren't actually doing any crazy coding. They were just keeping it kind of updated and fun. That's not going to happen anymore, which was to be expected just later on. Lermy was laid off. Dandy was laid off. A lot of people, I mean, lost their jobs. Hazer was covering it yesterday. I wanted to take the day yesterday to just, like, process what was going on. and not jump to the insane conclusions and the rash, I'm not gonna play the game anymore. Like none of that stuff. So there are still 75 people working there. A lot of those people I've known for a very, very, very long time. Hindu Man is, I think, the only one left in like the esports, and he's still going to be doing some kind of esport. They've promised that, so we don't know what that looks like. That could mean like literally no money tournaments and just some basic stuff. But the idea in my mind is he's there to keep something going. So when the game gets to that, revenuing again some money or profiting some money, they can start doing that, doing some kind of esport. Pon, I mean, I played against him in the game a long time ago. Clumsy, I literally was a coach on a team. He stayed in my apartment on his way down to Hi-Rez when he was starting to work there. Like, I've known a lot of these people in one way or another for way too long to be like, time to quit the game. Like, these people built the game. It wasn't the CEO. You can say whatever you want. He from my knowledge, he crazy micromanaged this game, but added no value to it. And I mean, I saw something today where one of the higher up devs, I think Chris Larson, was like, I have to defend Stu. It's, he doesn't do this for money. It's not his, it's not only his fault, all kinds of stuff. Look, I get, if you don't know the history of Hi-Rez, Hi-Rez was originally built, from my knowledge, by Erez Gorin, I think is his name, and Todd Harris. So you had Hi-Rez, you had, Erez and Harris or whatever. I don't know how they get to it, but that was how the company began. I think 5 years ago, Todd Harris left, and he was doing Rally Here or like Ghost. They bought Ghost or something. They left the company, from my knowledge. Like they bought out or whatever. They got bought out of there. So with that being said, I've heard that it's Erez that owns it. I'm assuming Stu, the CEO, owns some part of the company, and then someone said something about Erez's brother. Erez, no idea if these are facts or not. A lot of people have said different things, but I've heard very consistent things that he worked with Todd Harris and Stu and a couple other guys for years at his own company, and then they sold it, and he sold it for a ton, like hundreds of millions of dollars. Like he has, I don't care money. That is where you start to see the issues in these games and everything everything that's happened. He did this as a passion project, from my knowledge. Like, yeah, this is all people talking over 13 years, what I've gathered. He has so much money, he doesn't care. He did this for fun. I guess it became not fun anymore, and he kind of stepped away where he still owns the company, but he isn't working there, where when I started playing, he was like actively bugging the developers. Like they were annoyed with his input and didn't want him. Literally, when they made Paladins, they were like, yo, leave Smite alone, go bug Paladins. Like, they tried to push him off, and then he ended up on Realm Royale, and he's the reason Realm Royale got ruined, if you didn't know that. He had a vision for the game, and despite that game, I think, peaking at like 500,000 concurrent players in 1 week, like out of nowhere, he did the opposite of what everyone was asking for and pushed his own patches that he wanted, and it killed the game. That happened. I know that happened. But back to this Smite stuff. So that's like the kind of history of Hi-Rez. Like you said, Todd Harris left, a couple of the other higher ups left, and it seemed like it's just like Erez owns the company, but isn't there for like day-to-day stuff. There's probably some board where he's like, I need this money, this needs to be happening. That's how boards work. And then you have Stu, who's been working there the entire time at some really high level capacity until he was like the CEO of that, and he's like the CEO of Rally Here or something. I don't know how. I get like wanting to defend your friend. We were talking about the guy Chris Larson, who's one of the higher up. I don't know if he's programmer or what exactly his title is. He's been there for a long time. He's definitely a smarter dude. He's been working on the games for a long time. At some point you can't defend him. Like, it could be your friend. He'd be like, yo, like I've seen crazy stuff. Like people saying like Luigi him and stuff. That's crazy. Someone being really shit at their job, and then that's what you end up on is crazy. That's not a normal response. You should check yourself. So I get defending that, but he's failed at successfully producing over 10 games. Usually within a company, when a product launches and it fails, the CEO's gone after one failure. So it's pretty clear that the employees and the consumers of their products, their games, are not Number one, I mean, that's fairly obvious. You could say whatever you want, but actions are way more telling than words. Words don't really mean anything, to be honest with you. And he never stepped down after all this failure. They didn't get him out of, a CEO position after all of this failure. And it's a lot of failure. I mean, you stumbled upon Smite. Smite was pure luck. I'm going to be honest with you. Then Paladins came along, and that was actually successful. People want to pretend it's not. It was huge. I think at one point they had also around 500,000 concurrent players with China being big in the game, and then that fell off. That has something to do with Tencent. That's even more decisions that were made at some point where Tencent owns some part of Hi-Rez. I don't even know that stuff. I know there's articles on it. Then they had Realm Royale, which overnight became the biggest battle royale in the world, and it was killed within a month. There is so much epic levels of failure that it makes no sense for him to be there. You've had the company go from 500 plus employees down to 75. That didn't just happen. That is massive oversight and failure by any means. At some point, just take the L and try to put the people that were supposed to be your priority actually in front of your own decisions. That tweet that I was talking about, it mentioned that he didn't do anything for money. If he owns the company and he's getting paid a salary, or owns any portion of the company and is getting paid a salary, then he's doing it for money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here putting words about and saying it's the only thing he's doing it for, but he's doing it for money, right? Here's the tweet. And Chris he's retired. I did not know that. I had no idea. That's crazy. I did not know he didn't still work there. So he said, I feel compelled to defend Stu. I've known him for 20 years, and he has never been in the business to make himself rich. He might not own part of the company. He might be the CEO, but if they were revenuing $100 million, he was getting paid well. I don't know if he took a pay cut when they did, when they downsized. I don't know. That's stuff we don't know. It's not public information. However, there's also different levels to what this word means. To somebody like Erez, hundreds of millions is rich. To someone else, a couple $100,000 is rich. So I hate words. I hate terminology used because it can be just skewed to whatever way. It's like statistics. You can pull numbers that prove your point while leaving other numbers out. Anyway, he always put his employees first, often standing up for their decisions, even when it meant using their political capital to push back against the board and Erez. Okay, so this is just not true. I've heard the exact opposite of this from many employees. Every single one that I've talked to about this kind of stuff. So I just don't believe this. This just doesn't match up with what I was told over the course of 13 years. Stu and I had a vision for Hi-Rez that would have been incredible for both the employees and the company's future, but unfortunately, we couldn't get the higher ups on board. See, now this is also weird because they're separating themselves from Erez, and we can all tell that Erez doesn't care, right? But what does this really mean? Were they not on board with you trying to sell the company at some point? Were they not on board with how you wanted to spend the money? Were they forcing you to make more games? What does that really mean? We have no idea. Stu was a great person, and Hi-Rez was lucky to have him. So I've also, once again, maybe in some world I'm completely wrong and everything that was told to me is wrong, but I was the biggest content creator in this game for over 10 years. I saw him many times at events, and he never once said a word to me. Not a single word. And then I had other people telling me that he didn't really respect gamers. He didn't really respect the competitive side of the game and people making a living off of gaming. So unless the multiple people that told me that and then him never ever saying a word to me was just coincidence, this just doesn't seem true at all. I mean, if I'm running a company and there are people that consistently promote my game and help it, and you can be as hate me or hate whoever you want, but everyone creating content and being successful at it and putting the game into new eyes. I have tens of thousands, maybe not hundreds, tens of thousands of people who are like, I play the game because I watched a video of yours. At some point, like that, this just isn't, you have to accept that this doesn't match up with the actions or the things that I've heard. If I were in his position, I'd probably walk away. Yes, every human in the world would walk away. But this next sentence kind of pisses me off. But that's not who he is. He doesn't give up on the company. So please give him a break. The company is failing around him, okay? Maybe if he left, they would sell it. Maybe if they brought in someone else that wasn't by the way, Stu, once again, has worked with them for years and years. Maybe not this guy, I don't know about Chris, but worked with Erez for 20, 30 years. Maybe they do bring in someone else who doesn't have some personal connection to this person, and everything is completely different. But until he leaves, we don't know. But right now we know it's failing. It's failing horribly. You can see a lot of people, just people within the community have been responding to this. I just read this before making this video, so I figured I'd talk about it. We covered a lot yesterday. So that should catch you up to speed on most of the Hi-Rez Smite stuff, right? Like, you should kind of have an idea now of what's going on if you didn't. There's been like 3 videos I watched that all pretty much just said they're fired people, and there isn't really a lot of specifics. There's no potential details, nothing. So I wanted to make this video to cover what was going on and then kind of outline what I think the future looks like, because people keep out like, you gonna play another game? Well, bro, first of all, there's like no good games right now. Everyone's gonna say Rivals or Deadlock. Deadlock is just not good to me, and I'm not a big hero shooter guy. Like, Rivals is good, but it's not a game I'm playing all the time. Also, Smite 2 is great. Like, we're not gonna sit here and pretend like these devs, especially a lot of the ones that got removed and these other people that work there, didn't save the game in the last 4 months to take it from a 1,000 player game to there's 10 to 20,000 on Steam at any given moment, and then you got 50% more on console plus Epic. You're talking about like 30,000 people playing the game at any given moment in the day because it's good now. They made the game good. I'm sure a lot of people will be uneasy about like, oh, I can't trust the company, blah, 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 blah. You should be playing the game for fun, okay? Games, for 99% of the people that play them, are for fun. They aren't their jobs. They aren't pro players. They aren't content creators. They don't work there. It's fun. So if the game is fun, you should play it. And then with that said, I got 3 potential outcomes of what's going on. So everything that's done and was done, we at low end estimated that the firing of 75 or 69 people, probably saves them around $5 million in salaries. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. It looks like from the outside, they're setting up to sell the company. That could be good or bad. If they sell, who are they selling it to? Is it Epic Games? Is it someone else? Are they not, are they even selling? It's a big, probably not, but what if? It looked like any other company doing this, you'd assume they were selling it. If they sell it and someone bought it, do they keep all of the employees there? Do they rehire people? Do they take over and not bring anyone over? Like, how does that look? Because that could be the best thing in the world or the worst thing in the world. Because changing the developer from Hi-Rez's name to Epic would mean the game goes into every region ever. It becomes the most marketable thing in the world because they already have all these IPs in the Fortnite world. So they could say, hey, Disney, can we start putting skins in this other game? They say yes. They start making more money. Everyone starts making more money. Fortnite could say, hey, if you go play Smite for an hour, you get a Fortnite skin. Player base goes up 40x overnight, right? Like, that could be really good. If they sell to a company like EA, it might turn into the worst thing in the world and die faster than it currently is. Or there's 2 other options that I see. The community steps up in a big way and covers esports, because esports is pretty much gone. That allows the top players to keep playing. That is a difficult thing, but a lot of other games do it, where the esports are community driven and controlled. The game maintains its current update pace, which they say it will. Yesterday in a Discord post, I think I saw it on Inbound's video, that they said they would maintain 1 God a week. At first, I didn't think that was possible. I just assumed there's no way, but they're reiterating that they're going to do that. If they can do that and we can cover some form of esports as a community, nothing happens to the game. The game just remains successful and keeps doing its thing. Do I think it's going to blow up anytime soon? No. But is it already at the level Smite was? Yeah. Could it easily, get back to the peaks of Smite? Yes. But is it going to blow up? Probably not. Once again, we play the game for fun. So if they can maintain that fun level, then that's a W. That would be a massive win. That's best case in my mind. The selling to the perfect company and all that stuff would be best case, but that's super unlikely. And then the third case is they can't keep up with the timeline. They don't tell us. If they tell us, I don't think there's a problem. Like, hey, we're going to be one god every 2 weeks now because we lost people. Everyone will be like, okay, we get it, right? If they don't keep up with the timeline and fall behind, people get pissed, the game starts to fail. They don't sell, the game dies. Those are the three outcomes that I see. Most likely is the second one we talked about. Both the other ones are definitely possible. We'll have to. It's literally a waiting game to see. I just really hope that we get a lot of transparency, with what to expect for the game, right? Where the game's going. We get to hear what esports really is going to be because everyone's assuming it's nothing. They have nobody. Like, the people working on the game is borderline skeleton crew. I mean, it mainly seems like it's the core God devs, and then like they probably have a fuck ton of programmers still working. Which they might have had too many God developers. I mean, if you have 10 people all making gods all the time, is that really necessary? Is it good for the game? Probably, but is it needed to keep the game up? No. I mean, they started the game with way less, right? So that's where I'm at. I mean, I plan on playing the game if it's fun and when it's fun and grinding and doing my content. The next patch is awesome, but we don't know. I don't know when we're getting it. It was potentially today. I don't think it went out live today, so maybe it'll be live Monday or Tuesday because they said that was like the secondary days for it. There's just a lot to figure out over the next few weeks, and it needs to be in like the next 2 to 3 weeks that we are reassured with everything else. I mean, like that tweet said, I highly doubt Stu steps down. He deleted his Twitter to avoid seeing backlash. He knew this was happening 2 to 4 months ago. A lot of people speculate that he knew September, October. He definitely knew at Worlds or a Founders Series because he deleted his Twitter right after that event, which is pretty, embarrassing in the first place. Like, you're either so bad at your job and you know it that you deleted it, or you can't face the people that you're supposed to be advocating for and like making sure are good. So you were afraid and deleted it. Like, no matter what, I don't know what was up with that. I've already said this. I had a lot of the people who used to work or do work at Hi-Rez in my stream last night. Like, if there's some way I can help, people are asking me to retweet casters reels and stuff. Just tag me. I mean, that's easy stuff. Like, of course I'm gonna do that. If there's anything else I can do, you message me. There's a lot of people. I mean, this list on the Reddit has like 20 people, and it says there's 69 people that were laid off, which is ridiculous. Absolutely insane. Hopefully this video catches you guys up. I know it's a lot. If you're a casual or semi-casual, you probably would have no idea 90% of the stuff is going on. I wouldn't freak out about the game, and I would remember you're playing for fun. Like, if you're having fun, keep playing it. If you're not, play something else. It's really that simple when it comes down to gaming. It shouldn't become this crazy political, thing. In this case, it affects a lot of very, very real people. So it makes sense for the uproar and, reactions and potentially overreactions, but we're going to try to be realistic here. I will be streaming every night. I'll still be posting videos. If some stuff changes, I'll update you guys and we'll just see what happens. We're kind of just along for the ride. I mean, it's not our thing to own. It's just something I've been a part of forever, and a lot of people have. So hopefully you guys like the video. Hopefully it helps you. I will see you in the video later tomorrow, the next day, and the next day.